I'm Mel Stewart, and this is a GMM podcast. Joining me today, Jack Alexy, two-time Olympic medalist coming off the Paris Olympic Games. At really, if you engage and ask the fans and talk to him, a disappointing Olympic Games, a pancake Olympics, a learning Olympics. He got 2 Olympic medals, disappointments that he had to overcome this year, and he did. He rewrote that chapter. Something happened this past year. He turned the corner, and we saw that all materialize at the Singapore World Championships. American record 900 freestyle, 46.81. And that final relay of World Championships in the medley, the fastest split in Team USA history and the second fastest split of all time. Jack's got a lot to smile about. He's going to tell us what's going on in the near future and what's going on in the run-up to LA 2028. Jack Alexy. Hey, buddy, what's up? I have never interviewed you. It's my first time. Pretty excited.
Yeah, me too, Mel. How you doing?
I'm good. We're coming off World Championships, and there's been a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking, a lot of backseat driving. A lot of people are calling balls and strikes. And Team USA men, on paper, performance was pretty rough. But there were some bright lights. There were some bright moments. And I'm bullish on the future. And I'm bullish for many reasons, but one of them is you. And I felt like you're a young talent, and you're that blue ribbon guy who is the leading man on the team, which might be too much pressure, but it is that the 100 freestyle is it's kind of like the quarterback. And I felt like you got turned on this summer. You tell me, just 60,000 feet, how you felt about your summer at World Championships.
I felt very, very proud of myself. And I think as a whole, part of Team USA, I was very proud of how every athlete in the team, all my teammates were able to go through some tough times and some sickness and some uncertainty. And regardless of all of that, still put up some pretty solid performances. Any swim meet, people are going to have good meets and bad meets. So regardless of everything that went on, I'm really happy and excited for the future. Proud of myself for my personal performances, but also just I'm excited for the future. 3 years to go to LA. So very in a good spot right now. Took a little time off, back in the water now, back training. So just very excited and grateful right now.
We're going to talk about the trajectory of how you got to this moment right here in this past summer. You did turn the corner. The 46.81, is that correct? In the 100 free?
Yeah.
Very eye-popping. There was a thrill and excitement. Of course, Popovich was, we're very proud of him and glad to see him pop off in such a great race. But, the combination of that 46.81 and is it 45.95 on the medley relay anchor?
Yes, I believe so.
The fastest ever for a Team USA athlete and the second fastest in history. The combination of those two, it had to leave you feeling pretty proud of yourself. When you stepped off the deck after that last event, where was your head at?
Immediately after the race, I didn't know my split for a few minutes. I saw we got the bronze medal, which I was really excited about, and I was really proud of the other 3 guys. After I knew my split, I was kind of in shock. It's a really fast time to go, and especially for that being my 10th or 11th swim over 7 or 8 days. So yeah, definitely I was feeling really proud of myself. I was really tired in the moment, but I just think it was really cool to see the progression from the last 2 years and how I handled myself at a big international meet this year. And I'm really excited for the next couple meets in the next 3 years, because if we can do that, and that was kind of the some rookies in that relay, some younger guys in first kind of international meets for those guys. So I'm really excited for that relay in particular, but also as a team heading into the next 3 years, I'm really excited.
For anybody who doesn't know you, just put it into context. You're 22. We're going to talk about Paris. We're going to talk about the World Championships preceding the Paris Olympic Games. And, you're 21, 20 years old, really in the blue ribbon event and in the sprint event. And this is where the big boys play. You've been a kid. And you've developed really well. So I see your fan base growing. We see it. We track it on SwimSwam, and people are very curious about you. How tall are you?
I am 6'8".
You were 6'8". Yeah. You are a man among men, a man among boys. Just out of curiosity, what do you weigh?
215 to 220 pounds.
6'8", 215, 220. When you're standing next to Popovich, is it imposing? Do you puff out a little bit? Do you swagger? How does that work when you're in the ready room or when you're walking out?
Yeah, I think I don't try to puff on my chest or anything like that. That's more of a collegiate kind of setting. I mentioned this in an interview at nationals at World Trials in June, but the college swimming aspect, that's kind of where you get your rally behind your team and your guys. And that's where you can kind of show some confidence around deck and some bravado. But I think a big change, one of the changes I made at Worlds this year compared to the Fukuoka Worlds and Olympics, is just having more fun and trying to be more relaxed in the ready room. So now I was joking with Popovich, with Chalmers, with some other guys in there, and just having a fun time and talking to them, which is really different from the past where I've just been very intense, quiet, and to myself. So yeah, I like talking to those guys in the moments before those big races. It's pretty cool. And it's also nice that we all get along pretty friendly. So it's really cool.
We had a really long podcast with Kyle Chalmers, and we love interviewing the Aussie stars. They're ready to talk at any time. They're into the business of swim. They promote their brand. They really engage media a lot and in a fun way. But it feels like he set the tone, and he's had great relationships, friendly relationships with everybody. And a lot of what he talks about is, these are my friends. These are my closest peers. They live my life. And I feel like he kind of sets the tone for that. But I had no idea that Chalmers and Popovich were so close, that Chalmers and Dressel were so close. Are you aware of that? Or is it something you get a sense of when you're having these moments like you described in the ready room?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of cool because before I raced Kyle, and before I got to know him, I was just watching, international meets from my TV screen. And, it's really different seeing someone for about like a minute and a half on a TV screen and watching them race, and then a whole other thing in the ready room right next to him. He's definitely very, very talkative and very friendly. And yeah, I definitely get the sense that he's kind of the front runner for that kind of aspect of the sport and for the 100 freestyle. But yeah, I think he's a great guy. He's a great competitor. The interesting thing about the 100, everyone has kind of a different strategy, and I've been able to pull different things from my competitors and try them out in competition. And it's cool to learn from them. And like, as you said, it's, you're in a room with 7 guys that are very similar to you. They have a very similar lifestyle to you, very, very similar mindsets as you do. So it's very cool being in that room with them for that brief moment, and then walking out on the international stage and racing against them. It's just such a cool experience.
I think you're the most dangerous talent on the pool deck in that final with the 8 swimmers, especially after this summer. And just based on like size, talent, trajectory, where you're going. So I was trying to push Chalmers on that. I was trying to say, hey man, is Jack on your wall? Are you looking at him every morning going, he's big, but I'm going to take him down, something to that effect. And he's like, no, I'm staying in my lane.
Yeah.
Some of the conversations that we've had with 100 free and sprint talent is, particularly with him, is how he's balancing this lifestyle. And you talked to Dressel, I talked to Dressel after Paris, and Chalmers, and they're in the same boat. Same with Cam McAvoy. They don't want to be professional sprinters on the world stage unless they can first be a great husband and a great father. And this pro career is in balance with that. If they can manage those two things, that's great. Well, part of it is they're training very differently. Chalmers has completely revolutionized what he's doing. Cam is on the far end of the horizon. His podcast is coming out just before yours, and it's shocking how little he's swimming. Have you seen how little he swims?
I've seen him on his socials, on his Instagram. He'll post like stories or Instagram posts about his practices, and sometimes it's like 100 free warm up, or like race warm up, and then 425 is fast on the blocks with most amount of rest. So I think it's very cool that he's kind of the front runner leading that sprint kind of training as of right now. And he's had a long career, and it's very easy and it's very clear to see his success in the 50s, specifically in the past 3 years, and how his training for that translates over to that race. But yeah, Cam's a great guy and great person to look up to. And yeah, he's just a fun guy to be around in the ready room, and he's cracking jokes as well. So yeah, he's a great guy.
It's an interesting cat. He's like, I'm like, who are your sponsors? He's like, I didn't have any sponsors this year. I just didn't want to be traveling. I've got enough money. I'm fine. I want to be a dad. I want to be a husband. Yeah. And I also want to dive deeper into this sprint lab that he's creating. So, but I was a 200 flyer. So when he was describing this to me, there was a lot of jealousy welling up inside, a lot of bitterness and anger, but also that he's like, I don't swim. I don't do 1,000 or 1,500 meters easy or 2,000 meters easy. He's not mapping his neural network to swim that way. And he goes, how you feel so easy doing that? He goes, I feel awkward doing that. He goes, but if I'm at top speed and I'm flowing at top speed, he goes, that feels very natural to me. He goes, that's how I'm training. But that's the 50 guy. Chalmers is like, he's not doing more than 3 kilometers a day. So let's do a compare contrast. What are you doing early season, mid season? How much yardage?
In the past, that's kind of been dictated by the collegiate season. So this year, obviously I'm a pro now and don't need to, prep for, our mid-season meet, our conference meet, our NCAA meet. In the past, it's been pretty volume heavy in the fall. So that will range from 4,000 to 5,000, actually probably like 4,000 to 6,000 meters or yards a day. And we vary up long course training and short course training throughout the year. In the wintertime, it's around 5,000 still. Like that's probably the average amount of practices. And then in the springtime, it comes down a little bit. Like maximum we go would be 4,500 yards. And then on the lower end, it'd be 3,000. Last year for my world preparation, practices averaged around 4,000, 4,500. My first time I went over 5,000 in the past year was last Friday. I did like 5,800 meters. It was a long course workout in the morning. So it's kind of nothing too special or different. I'm sure that will change as I get older and as I become, a better athlete, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Your testosterone is going to continue to increase into your early 30s and mid 30s. So you're going to get stronger, more explosive. You're going to get all of that. But having said that, seeing Chalmers doing what he's doing, do you like talk to Durden and be like, hey, Durden, maybe I'm doing too much?
There's some workouts where I say that to him and I'll say like during the workout and then ask him like, hey, are we done yet? Are we popping the lame eyes? He'll just shake his head, like crack a smile. But yeah, I trust, Dave fully, and he's been doing this for a long, long time. And it's really cool that I am in this position now where I'm one of the top sprinters here at Cal, and he's been able to coach, Anthony Urban, Nathan Adrian, people that have been in my shoes before. So I fully trust him and his process and his coaching methods. It's worked out pretty well for others in the past. It's worked out pretty well for me right now and our teams. And yeah, but definitely once in a while I won't be feeling the 4,500 workout, and I'll ask the question like, are we done yet? And sometimes he'll give me a break and say, yeah, we're popping lane lights now. And sometimes he'll just shake his head, and sometimes he won't even acknowledge me.
I love it. Out of curiosity, how much is David Marsh in the lab with you? Any at all? Just during,
So out of our 9 practices, I probably work with him. Our coaches kind of float around with different groups. He primarily works with the breaststrokers and the sprinters. So I work with him quite a bit. So he's been really good to work with, and he brings another coach that brings a ton of experience into the sport. So yeah, it's pretty cool that our relationship has grown to more than, a coach and an athlete. And he's been a mentor for me. He's a great guy. Interesting guy, but he's a great guy.
He's an interesting guy. I call him the magic man. I am his first Olympic champion. My career was flagging. I was on autopilot, flatlined, and my father, this would be good. This is good podcast information. So we went 7 years without a national team director, and we were unhappy with our performance. USA Swim was unhappy with the performance at Paris, which was because metrics wise, it was kind of on par with 1988, or you could argue as far back as 1956. But I was on the 88 team and had a bad Olympics, and that was my pancake Olympics, and it was a poor one. And they named Dennis Pursley national team director. And it was the first time we had a national team director. He was influential in talking to my father and finding different coaches to work with. And Marsh was the guy.
There you go.
And Marsh, 8 weeks with Marsh, changed my stroke in 3 places, American record, world record, Olympic medals. And so he's an interesting cat. I love that, Durden coached under him. Now he's at Cal and he's kicking butt at Cal, that he brings in this elder statesman, and I know what he can do for sprinters.
Yeah. Now sometimes he'll have us do something and you won't have any idea what the benefits are to it, but he'll ask us to do like a weird drill or use a piece of equipment the wrong way on purpose. And then it's obviously working. I work with him quite a lot, and, I like that he's always curious and finding new ways of becoming faster for athletes, even when he's been coaching, for decades. So I think that's really cool. And I think it's just because he's very passionate about the sport of swimming and coaching. And I think he just really loves it, which is awesome to have as a coach.
Well, let's take people inside this world. And I'm not asking you to, I am asking you, but you can control how you respond to this. In that first week working with him, there were a lot of F-bombs dropped. I was very angry. I was number one in the world. And I was like, he was telling me things to do. And I was just like, there's no effing way. But it was structural to the foundation of what I'd been trying to do. And it took me a while to trust him. Have you felt frustration with it? Is it like so left field? You're like, I don't know about this. Or did you just like, you flowed with it?
There are some, initially at first when I was getting to know him and his coaching style, I think there was some frustration with it. There were some days usually in the fall and, end of the summer when the team's just getting back into training, we'll do a lot of basic stuff and we'll touch on all 4 of the strokes. So in past years, I'll see that my group or, the coaches decide that the groups are coming out and my group is, sprint free and Marsh is coaching us today. And then there are some days where I'll see that and I'll ask Dave if I can go do the mid distance workout to get more yardage in and more volume in. So it's not like I am very respectful to him. I'm not going up to him and saying like, what are we doing here? If I have a question, I'll ask him, what the intention is behind this drill or the stuff we're working on. But, I'm very respectful and I'm always open to hear what he has to say and any advice he's been able to give me. So he's been a great resource for me.
You're going to have a much better career because of that. I do like your control and there's a lot of trust that's involved. Let's talk about World Championships specifically. And as I mentioned to everybody earlier on in this podcast, we're going to kind of go back in time and because I want to have a check-in with you on how you felt in Fukuoka and at Paris. But World Championships, it's just out of the gate. Did you experience sickness? Because some people disclose it, some people didn't. Did you experience sickness?
Yeah. So I got sick the last day of our training camp in Thailand. Yes. Most of the people that got sick in Thailand, they got sick. I believe it was July 22nd. And the whole entire day, I felt fine and normal. And I kept getting messages in our group chat that people were becoming sick, like one by one. And then I was just becoming paranoid that I'd get sick. And then the next day, around lunchtime, I felt a little weird, but it wasn't until like that evening where I was really sick when I had to call the doctors and get some medications and stuff. So I was going through it for probably that night and a little bit into that morning. And then the doctors, they had a group stay back in Thailand to wait another day before traveling to Singapore. And I think that was a great decision for me to do, to just fully relax and try to fully recover and get some food in me before trying to travel. Because I think that helped my recovery in the days leading up to Singapore. Because when I got there, I felt pretty much back to normal. I lost about 8 pounds in a day, but I was a little nervous about how it would affect my performances, but I just tried to stay positive.
You had a great World Championships, but you finished strong. You finished with that 45-9-5 relay split, which is an outlier swim. I mean, you got a piece of history. You're the fastest anchor in Team USA history. Do you think that recovering, you were fully recovering through the 8 days?
I think my body was getting more and more back to normal. I was just trying to stay as hydrated as possible and eat as much as I could. I weigh myself almost every day, like during training and during competition. So I'm very much on my weight and the delta with that and how much it changes day to day and throughout competitions. So I was kind of using that as a metric to let me know how much I needed to eat. But yeah, I think I felt, I think halfway through the meet, I would say I felt back to normal. And it's kind of a weird feeling because you're in the middle of a 8-day meet and you're trying to stay locked in your process and everything. And you have races to think about and worry about. But for me, I just tried to focus on one race at a time and not get too far ahead of myself, which kept me in the moment, and I didn't get overwhelmed, which was really, really good feeling. And it helped me perform, especially towards the back end of that meet.
Talk to me. I mean, here's the thing. I feel like the 50 free and the 100 free are just two different animals. It feels like I have no, I couldn't tell you. I know as much about the 50 free, desperately wanted just in the 50 100 free, couldn't do it, could never do it. I know about as much about the 50 and 100 free as I do about breaststroke, which might belong in artistic swimming. Tell me about the importance of that bronze in the 50 meter free for you.
It was really important for me and it meant a lot to me, especially after missing out on individual race in the 50 at Olympic trials in the prior summer and missing out on a chance to swim that at the Olympics. So at US Nationals in June, I knew that I was due for a time drop in that event. I was really happy and confident with my time there at Nationals. And the 50 free, I kind of knew that Cam was going to probably going to take the win for that one again. And throughout the rounds of that race, I had a great time on my semifinal swim. Not a great race. It was probably the worst first 25 I've had in a 50 race that I've ever done, and somehow managed to go a best time. So I was really confident going to the final of that race, because I'm just thinking in my head, okay, if I can just fix my start a little bit or get a cleaner entry, fix the timing of my break, then maybe I'll be not as far behind Cam, and then I can maybe reel him in the last 25. But I'm even racing, getting bronze to Cam, McAvoy, and Ben Proud. I can't be upset about that, because those are two of the best sprinters in the world, and I was just really grateful to earn that medal, and I enjoyed the podium during that session. But I went back to the warm-up process, and I got ready for the mixed free relay after that. So I didn't really have a chance to celebrate, I guess. I was just thinking, okay, that race is over now. Let's focus on the next one. And then after that session, I had some time to reflect and enjoy my performances a little bit. So yeah.
Mixed medley relay. It's a medal. Mixed medley relay.
Is it mixed med or mixed free?
You said mixed medley.
Yeah, mixed free. Sorry about that.
Mixed free. Yeah, mixed free. I like a lot of fans are like, why are we having these events? And I'm like, I don't know. I like it. It makes sense to me. It works. It's another race. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Overall, the takeaway, it's I would think that you're split on that on the medley. The 45.95 was the highlight of your world championships. But making assumptions kind of makes you an asshole. You tell me what was meaningful for you at world championships. If you're doing a debrief, you talk to Dirt and you talk to Marsh, and are you talking to your girlfriend or your parents? You're saying, this is what really mattered to me. What was your takeaway?
I think there's two takeaways. The first one, it was a specific race for me. It was the semifinal swim and the final swim of the 100. In the past, through going through prelims, semifinals, and finals, I would go all out, the prelims all out in the semifinals, and try to replicate a good swim for the finals. This year in Singapore, I took a more relaxed approach to the prelims, just try to make the final, or just try to make the semifinals. And after the semifinal race, I was very excited and proud of myself. And that was a pretty big moment just for me, because it's taken me a while to get to that number and break that American record. And just the history behind that is really just insane and cool to think about. And I think it was just those moments walking around the pool deck, racing, David in that semifinal and taking it all in and just enjoying the moment. That's what I was really proud of. And that moment stuck with me for a while. And also, I think just a comparison from my performances last year at Paris and this year in Singapore, being able to be more controlled throughout the rounds, be able to execute faster swims under pressure, go 46.8 in the semifinals. And even though it wasn't the best time in the finals, it was right there at 46.9. So being able to do that and swim that time under the big lights, with racing against some of the fastest guys in the world, I was really proud of that. And if you turn the clock back a year ago, I think throughout the rounds, I was 47.5, 47.6, and 47.9. And then this year I was 48.0, 46.8, 46.9. So I think that's just a really cool progression to see. And that's due to changes in the pool physically, but also outside the pool mentally and with my life in general. But yeah, I'm really happy with how I handle myself under pressure, move through the rounds, and really excited and proud of myself for the semifinal and final swim of that 100.
I think a lot of, if you track national team members, I talked to Shane Costas about this, and this is a podcast that'll be coming out pretty soon. But I think with men, more so with men, they have a pancake Olympics. They have first Olympics. Men step on them, and young men go there, and they're overwhelmed by all of the realization. And if you're out there, you need to know what the realization is, and be a check on me, Jack, if I'm wrong. But you show up at the Olympics and you realize, wait a minute. This is a massive corporate convention, pageantry, monetized, globally televised event. And then there's swimming, and you can get caught up in all of this noise, and it drains you. Even in you're trying to manage keeping that out, and it's challenging. And I think it's intense when you're young, and it's because of what you'll have a great trials. And then you'll go to the Olympics, and it's that. Tell me, am I wrong? What's your experience?
It's pretty spot on. It's funny, like the people, we had a domestic camp in North Carolina, and then we had an international camp in Croatia. During those camps, we'll have team meetings, and those meetings will be with the staff, the coaches, every athlete there. And then we'll have captain-led meetings. And then during the captain-led meetings, the floor is kind of open to talk about anything or give advice about anything. And I forget who said this exactly, but someone said that, or a veteran on the team said this, that there's going to be this moment where when you're at the Olympics where you realize that like you're kind of like, oh crap, like I'm at the Olympics right now. Like everyone's a huge event. The most important races are in front of me, and that's pretty nerve wracking. There's a lot of pressure. I think for me, I knew that was going to come, and in the moment I tried to push it out of my mind and forget about it, which is not really possible to do. And then you get in your head about being nervous, and you're trying to tell yourself that I'm not nervous, but you really are. And you walk out on the deck, and then you race in 2-3 minutes. So there's a lot going on in a short amount of time. And I think overthinking it will really get to you a lot, and it will cause you to not have a good performance. So that was my experience in Paris. Just a lot of different factors on a world championship meet or any domestic meet. There's a meet like no other. There's expectations like no other. Yeah. But I tried to, looking back on it, I'm more appreciative of it as I get older, because right after the Olympics, I was super hard on myself, and it was not the most healthiest thing to do and to think about at times. So just taking a step back and realizing that that's okay to have like a bad meet, even if it is at the Olympics. It's really unfortunate that that's kind of how it works. But now I'm really excited for the 2028 Olympics, because now I have one under my belt already. I've learned a ton just in this past year alone. And I hope to keep building on these experiences and keep working on my physical and mental strength. And hopefully in LA in a couple of years, I'll be able to, apply what I've learned and perform under the pressure. Because I know it's going to be there. It's no secret to me or anyone else. But yeah, hopefully I'll have a strong Olympics coming up in 3 years. But I know that even as I'm talking right now, I know there's going to be a few moments when I'm there that I'll be panicking a little bit. I'll be overthinking a little bit, but I'll just try to acknowledge it and move past it.
Your second Olympics is way different from your first. It's going to be completely different. You will be armored up mentally, and it is just a completely different experience. And if you go back decades and talk to national team members, particularly on the men's side, I think that they'll all say the same thing. It's also you're coming off this world championships now. You're going to go into a domestic Pan Pacs, which should have a lot of pageantry, a lot of excitement, chance for you to race in that time zone. You'll travel one more time for worlds. You're going to be pretty battle hardened by the time you step on deck in LA. And LA will feel like home.
Yeah, and also a big part of it was we were traveling for over 3 weeks before arriving in Paris. So there's a lot of, you're not really familiar with, can't be on the road for 3 weeks before a big meet is a very long time. You have no sense of normalcy. You're not in your normal environment. You're traveling. You're not eating what you've been used to eating. So yeah, I'm really excited that I live in California, just, Northern California. And I just need to take a quick 1.5 hour flight down to LA. So that's going to be really, really nice to have some sort of sense of normalcy and being in the state I train in and live in currently. So I'm looking forward to it a lot. Yeah.
I hated training camps because I feel like you become great as an athlete because you do what you got to do either in training or when you're performing. And then it's your ability to detach from that and get away from it and have downtime where you're offline. Your brain's offline. Don't go to SwimSwam. Don't look at social. Don't do any of that stuff. Your brain needs to be completely offline because it's like everything that you've learned, you're just stealing. Your nervous system is running it on that algorithm. So yes, I think LA is going to be a perfect opportunity for you to be offline a whole lot more. And that's a huge advantage. I was going to ask you to take us back in a time because I was going to talk to you about Paris and you did it for me and you segued very, very cleanly. It's some athletes would describe a hard Olympics almost like complex trauma. Not PTSD, but almost PTSD. Did you feel like you had, and they call it, if you worked in the intelligence industry, they call it mental trash. You've got to clear that out. And because you hold it in your body. Do you feel like this was something you had to overcome, that you had to clear out? Yeah. Is that something you felt like you had to manage?
Yeah. Are you asking about like in the moment, like right after Paris or during the Olympics?
I'm talking about post. I'm talking, you're out of it. The lights go off. You're back home and you're like, whoa, that historic moment is over now. And the results are the results. And now I've got to live with this history. This is part of Jack Alexy history that is going to be a part. It's a chapter that's written in my career, and I can't rewrite it. So it's like, yeah, because and there's parts of it that they're good, and there's parts that are rough. It's like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, for me, I had this like internal battle, I guess you could say, between being very grateful for the experience and everything that came out of Paris. You know, my first Olympic race ever, I helped, you know, Team USA earn the gold medal in the 400 freestyle relay. I was on the prelim relay of the medley relay, and then the final relay went to go on and earn silver. The main race for me and the main focus was the 100 freestyle final. For that whole year, I was building up in my head, like, this is the goal right here. This, you know, months of training, I was constantly thinking about it to the point where I got overwhelmed and I'm kind of obsessed with thinking about it. And in the moment, yeah, I fell short. I got 7th. And that was really disappointing for me, because in my mind, after Fukuoka in 2023, I was in a great position. I was set up, you know, I was just the rookie in an international field. You know, I had that experience under my belt. And I felt really confident going into Paris. And I just think I was over consumed with this goal. And when I didn't achieve that goal, it felt like the end of the world. And even after that, in the weeks after Paris, I had a lot of time to reflect, and I was struggling between feeling grateful and disappointed, because I was really grateful for the experience of making the Olympic team, being part of those relays and earning medals, but very disappointed with having a bad race at the time where I needed the great race. So that was really what got to me. And I knew that I could have earned a medal in the 100 in Paris. And that's what really gets to me. And it still bothers me to this day. But that's kind of how the sport of swimming is. And it's not healthy to dwell on that and get upset about that. Yes, I've used it as motivation at times when I needed it, but I've kind of just learned to let it be a learning experience for me. And it's, in the moment, I remember writing down in my journal the night after that race, like, I disappointed myself, like I'm a failure, like I just failed at the biggest stage in the world. And now looking back on it, I learned it wasn't a failure. Yeah, it was a bad race, yeah, but I learned something from it, and that's not considered a failure in my mind. So as long as I can learn from it and build on it, it's useful, and it's a useful experience. But yeah, there were definitely some tough times where I was in my head a lot and thought, well, if I just went like a decent time, I would have gotten the medal. But I think that's kind of not healthy thinking, because you can go into the whole string of, oh, what if I did this, this, and this? So I think it's kind of this battle between staying grateful and being proud of what I accomplished, but also trying to stay hungry and learn from your mistakes. So I know it's kind of a long answer to that question, and yeah,
not a long answer. I'm asking you because it's something that athletes go through when they've had an Olympics. Is 47.9. I have some insight of what it's like to be sitting in the pool when I guess you were 47.08 at trials. You know, that was your PB at the time. Is it correct? Yeah. And you're like, I've got this in the chamber, and I just went that. Yeah. And I know what that feeling is like, sitting in the water. It's wonderful when you're an extraordinary talent like you are, and you come away from Olympics, which admittedly you were disappointed with that performance, but also have a gold and a silver. And so you have this full range of emotions, and you're still coming away with hardware. And that's just a true test of your talent. The reason why I ask the question is because you clearly did something from Paris to Singapore to rewrite that chapter. So that chapter's written, but that next chapter was a rewrite, and you threaded the needle correctly. And I guess you'll be unpacking that and how you did it. So your life, yeah. Your answer at 40 and 50 will be different. I think you'll have deeper insight too. Wow. Well, I'm excited for you. And before I forget, I do want to say this. So you're a Speedo athlete. That's you signed with Speedo. So you are pro, signed with Speedo. You signed with them before on the trials. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, back in 2024.
And if Speedo's out there listening, of course, that blue ribbon swimmer I do think that you're the quarterback of a team. I think that, if we're excited about what can happen in LA 2028, a lot of things that foundational player is, how big is your talent and how young are they and how they positioned? And I think you're perfectly positioned to have a great LA 2028. as that driving force in so many relays. Do you participate in APA, the Athlete Partnership Agreement?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Okay. Just for anybody out there listening, I'm not asking Jack to comment on this. I just wanted to say this as a reminder. The Athlete Partnership Agreement is USA Swimming's direct support to our national team members. It's about $3,200 a month. It pays for expenses. Expenses can be significant. It has been flat since 2010, and there's a push behind the scenes from national team members and coaches and people who have been affiliated with elite swimming to increase that, to at the minimum bringing up to inflationary dollars. And we would like it to be a lot more, because we feel like once you have that security, it makes the emotional part of training. It's just like, I've got that in place. So just for anybody out there listening, and if you're a fan, the leadership of USA Swimming, the C-suite makes that the trajectory since 2010 has been a whole lot better for them. So we need to bring it. We need to bring some parity to that. In terms of the business for you and the business of swim, is that something? Being a Speedo athlete's fantastic, because they treat you well. That's a professional company. The photo shoots are amazing. What they do is, in terms of engaging you. Do you want to be rolling up more sponsorships?
Yes, definitely. That's something that, me and my agent, Ian Beck, we're constantly trying to work on new sponsorships with companies that align with my values, but also my practicality of use, and always trying to learn and create more relationships with brands. And it's an interesting space right now, just because most Olympic brands are looking forward to the Winter Olympics in 2026. And after that, we're going to be expecting a lot more messages in our inbox after that, because that's after that 2026, then the next games on the calendars is LA. And that's going to be a big one for all athletes in general, but specifically, US athletes, Team USA, USA Swimming. It's going to be huge for us on a performance level, but also on the brand side as well. There's going to be a lot of exposure and a lot of opportunities for athletes like myself. And I'm really excited to hopefully partner with a lot of those brands and grow relationships. But yeah, right now I'm super happy with Speedo, and they've been super supportive with all their support. The best suits in the world. Like, I'm so confident in their suits behind the block, which I'm really happy and comfortable in. So yeah, I'm excited for that kind of landscape to evolve and get more busy in the next couple months, because it gets to a point where you don't want to swim with the goal of making money, because I don't think that's really healthy, and that creates a lot of pressure on the athlete. And I'm in a spot where I'm very fortunate that I'm not competing for money right now. Like, that's not why I'm swimming. I'm swimming because I'm passionate and I love the sport and I love competition. So the money in the sport is very nice and much needed. So I'm really grateful for all the people in my corner that have helped me along the way, and hopefully that team can grow and continue to support me over my career.
Ian Beck, is that correct?
Yeah, Ian Beck. Yeah.
Ian Beck is with the Olympus Sports Group. They're out of Arizona. Is it Scottsdale? Where in Arizona?
Yeah, I believe Scottsdale, yeah.
Olympic Sports Group out of Arizona. Ian Beck, that he represents Jack Alexy. So just, if you're out there and you're listening, being a national team swimmer, a lot of people think that you're a professional athlete and you make money, and it's amazing. And some athletes do very well. It's a very small number. Being a national team member, you make less money than the average salary of an assistant swimming coach on a club team. And that's the reality of what it's like to be on the national team. And that's a little bit too low. We want that number to be higher, and we're going to be pushing behind the scenes to increase that number so that we don't have national team members who are in the hunt to be great talent, maybe pop between now and LA 2028, and might be thinking, hey, I'm going to go start my career, and we'll miss out on that talent. So we want that support. But I think Jack is a great buy. If you're looking for somebody who has a lot of shots at a lot of events with one swim, in terms of the lifestyle, in terms of being an elite swimmer, are there any benefits? It's like, hey, college is done. This is, what is that like for you?
Yeah, it's a little strange right now. Every year in the past 4 years, it's been very structure based. I've had classes at this time, practice at this time, and I'm very busy throughout the days. Now it's okay. I have practices. I'll have 9 practices in a week I'll have, no, I'm not doing any classes right now. So I definitely have a lot more free time, and I'm trying to figure out how to effectively use that. Right now, it's kind of a downtime. I'm just training. I'll be going to the World Cup stops in October, and then I'll be going to a meet in December, I believe, US Nationals. But then after that, I have a good block of a few months where I can really figure out things I want to do outside of the sport. I mean, I do have, some hobbies. Like I play guitar, I play golf. I love, hanging out with friends, but more things that will help me as an athlete and as a person, and things that will jumpstart my transition to a different career once I'm done swimming. Because I do have a lot of time on my hands, and a lot of that time is being used on my, my social media, my personal brand, some media stuff. But I do believe that I would love to do an internship or a part-time job in an industry that I'm interested in when I have the time to. And I know that's very, very difficult right now, because I've talked to people that are trying to find jobs, specifically in finance. It's very hard to find those jobs right now. So I'm trying to figure out a good place where I can train 100%, fully train and fully compete as a professional swimmer, but hopefully either do a part-time job or internship on the side that can be used as a great distraction away from the sport. I can use my time effectively, and I can build connections and learn about things that I want to do and things that I don't want to do. So when the time comes where I do hang up the suit, I have an idea of where I want to go, what career I want to go into, what industry I want to go into. So it's been interesting trying to navigate that and find my place, because it is a weird feeling right now. I'll tell you.
I think everybody's listening. Anybody who's listening to this is going, Jack, just call Ryan Murphy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If every time I ever talk to Ryan Murphy, I'd be like, you want to be a hedge fund manager, or you want to own your own private equity firm. And, he's now doing that gig, and he's got LA 2028 sort of, he's holding it here going, I could go, I could not go, I could go. But he is legit building a career. But he's with a great firm. I think one of the partners works with USA Swimming Foundation, and Ryan is your guy, man. He's a Cal. So are you leaning into Murphy on this topic?
Yeah, a little bit. I definitely have to have a conversation with him and go more in depth with this kind of stuff. But yeah, that's, I don't say this a lot, but that's kind of like a blueprint I hope to follow in his footsteps. Because yeah, he's been incredibly successful in the water for, more than a decade. And it's been very impressive and inspiring to see how well he's transitioning from being a full-time professional athlete to an industry where he's interested in and passionate about. And as you said, as he's working, taking care of his family, LA 2028, I bet he's thinking about it more than we think, So I hope he's able to come back and come back to the training group and make a run for LA. But I think if I had to guess, he'd probably take all this year off again, and maybe a year and a half out, he'd come back. I hope he comes back. That'd be awesome.
According to him, he's staying engaged with the water. So his nervous system, his mind-body connection, he's strong. He's getting stronger. And so you can get stronger. He can do the Cam McAvoy plan, which Cam might lift weights for 5 months and not touch the pool, and then spend a 3-month training block trying to convert that power to mind-body connection with the water. And I absolutely think Murph is going to be trying to do that. But, who knows? He really likes the career he's in. But I do think that he is, my plan is for you and Murph to create a private equity firm. And then you guys, I'm going to retire, and you're going to roll up SwimSwam as it's a teeny tiny little asset that you have. And then Coleman can come work for you.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be awesome.
Well, we've covered a lot of topics, and I think we've covered most everything. Did I miss anything? Is there anything you want to talk about?
I think we covered quite a bit, and there wasn't anything in my mind that I wanted to come here and talk to you about. So I'm glad. I'm happy with the stuff we covered and talked about. More than happy to go more in depth if you want to.
Everybody's going to be mad at me. I did forget to ask this. Phelps shared the meme Lochte, the Lochte meme, and then that went live during World Champs. And a lot of people, I'm like, how did you feel about that at the time? Some national team members kind of knew the backstory and what was going on in the background. Some didn't. Some were like, what is this and why is it happening now? Was there an effect? Did you pay attention to it?
Yeah. So I remember I woke up one morning and I just took my phone. It was one of the first things I saw.
Wow.
Okay. I in the moment, it did disappoint me a little bit, even if they were just, joking about it, to a lot of athletes on the team, I think it felt like it was a direct attack on their performance. And I know that they were their messages and what their words they were talking about the management at USA Swimming. But I think they could have, I think the timing of it was also a little bit strange, just because it was in the middle of world championships. Like, athletes are going to see that kind of stuff. I didn't let it get to me a lot, though. I kind of just saw it and didn't really think much about it throughout the rest of the meet until, you know, the media started asking me questions about it. And, you know, I'll kind of repeat my answer I said in Singapore. You know, I think, and I still believe this, I think they have all the right to they have all the right to call us out and say, look, this is, you know, you guys need to do better. You know, the organization needs to do better. Athletes need to do better. Like, that's totally fine. That will motivate us. That will kind of fuel us to do better in the future. And I know that I know that Michael and Ryan, they want the best for the athletes and the best for USA Swimming. So I know that what they did, they did with a positive mindset. And I'm happy that I'm one of the people that had a great performance in Singapore. And I'm in a position now where I can kind of hopefully lead the men's team and the team as a whole, you know, through Irvine, through Budapest 2027, and ultimately LA 2028. Because I think, and I said this before at the start of the podcast, you know, I think it's just, despite everything we had to go through, you know, look at what we were able to accomplish. So, you know, I don't know what the team's going to look like in 3 years. I don't know how old the team's going to be. I can say that there's a lot of talent in USA Swimming, that a lot of people have seen that talent this summer, and a lot of talent that we haven't seen yet. So I'm really excited for the depth of USA Swimming to come out, and for people to return on the team and continue to perform at their best. So I'm really excited. I'm motivated by that whole kind of that narrative from Singapore. It fires me up. It motivates me. So I'm all for it. You know, if they have all the right to say that stuff, you know, they really do. So they know what it's like to train, you know, for 25, 30 hours a week in the water. They know what it's like to train a month on end for 8 days at a big international meet. They know what it's like. So they have, in my mind, they have the right to, you know, voice their opinions and say what they want. Because I'll tell you something, like, if I go on SwimSwam or read the comments somewhere else, like, I'll see people, I have no idea what their background, and they're criticizing athletes or you know, there's commenting, and that's fine, but they don't know what it's like to train and compete under the moments, under the big lights in the moments. So
it's a little bit different. We're a little bit different. I asked you about APA in the background. What I don't know if you're aware of this, but like, Michael had built a coalition of 150 medals. I forgot how many. It's the top 7 clubs in America. And it was a push for some balance to be brought back to USA Swimming, and some more investment back in Team USA, in the national team. And he had specific things that he wanted. One of them was like, hey, APA's been flat since 2010. You can write a press release and say you love your summers, but where you spend your money tells us a whole lot about you.
Yeah.
So he had this letter in the background. Were you aware of that letter throughout the summer, that there was this letter in the background hovering?
No, I was not. No.
Okay, so there was a Michael Phelps letter that he penned with a coalition in the background. And part of it was athlete partnership agreement, and part of it was investing in sports science and investing in a training site. He wants a training site that's like a professional team, like you go there and you can do, and it's better than the USOPC. And he was going to release that letter before U.S. World Trials and didn't. So elected not to release the letter because he didn't want to do it during competition. And then it was going to be released like every single day. Is it going to be released or not? And there was pressure from him from the highest offices of the U.S. Olympic, USOPC, and other areas pressuring him not to release the letter. And I think that he got angry in the middle of World Champs and said, hey, this is why we need some changes. This is why we need more support. So the athletes all saw it and went, he's mad at, he's judging us. And it really, from his point of view, it really was about USA Swimming management.
Yeah. No, and I understand that fully. And I feel like after the fact, reflecting on it, I think all the athletes understand that. Yeah. You know, in the past 6 months or in the past year, you know, USA Swimming has gone under a lot of changes. And, you know, recently, just like last week, we had the news about the new CEO coming out. So that's really exciting. So, you know, hopefully the organization does do a better job at supporting the athletes and advocating for them. And, you know, as I said, you know, Michael's done a great job advocating for the athletes after he's done swimming. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens in the future. You know, I'm really excited to be a part of the process. And I'm pretty close with Greg Meehan, the national team director, and he did a great job in Singapore handling everything, especially for his first time being in that role. And I'm excited for him to kind of leading the athlete front for the team, because he's a coach. He knows what it's like. He's done a great job at Stanford. I have no doubt he's going to do a great job in this role here. I mean, he already is doing a great job. So I'm excited. You know, we're going to Colorado Springs in a few weeks for national team onboarding, and then the Golden Goggles to follow that. So I'm excited to spend a few days out there with him and the staff members there and the athletes. So it'll be a fun weekend, and hopefully learn more about more resources and support that they're rolling out.
Well, I want your agent to get to know Cullen Jones. Do you have a relationship with Cullen Jones?
I do, yeah.
Okay. I say Cullen Jones is in a really key position at the USOPC. Really love that USOPC has that for a long period of time. We had someone who was really great for athletes, and his name was Chris Coleman, and everybody loved Chris Coleman. He was a bobsledder and just great. Now we have Cullen Jones, and Cullen Jones is in that same position, and he acts as a conduit from all the title sponsors and then casting athletes for activation for those contracts. And that's a key relationship to have. And I love that we now have one of our own, a swimmer, in that position. And I hope that Cullen, maybe we'll have to clip this out and be like, Cullen, Jack could use some work, buddy.
No, yeah, that'd be awesome. It's really cool that I can say that I have a relationship with him, because I first met him. I was in Santa Clara at an Arena Pro Meet. It was called Arena Pro Meet back then in 2016. I saw him there, and I got a picture with him, and I'll admit I was, fanboying a little bit. And when I started working with Speedo, he was one of the employees I was primarily working with. And it's cool to see his progression kind of from, professional athlete and swimmer to this role in Speedo, now this role at the USOPC. So I'm really excited for him. I'm happy for him. And yeah, I'm really excited that and just honored that we have a relationship. And yeah, he's been a great supporter and great mentor for me.
So for anybody out there, so we're super clear on this, and we're not, I don't know if we're talking a little bit too inside baseball. Cullen was, of course, an Olympic icon, and first man who identifies as Black that won a gold medal in swimming. And that was I think it was 2008 with Phelps, and during that era. And he went on to be in marketing with Speedo, was great there. Everybody loved him there. He was great to work with. We interfaced with him at SwimSwam. Now he's at the USOPC. So he stepped up a degree. I think this is a better position. And he is an interface between USOPC sponsors and the money that can be paid to athletes in terms of telling the story of the Olympics through that person, because the Olympics is not the rings. The Olympics are the athletes who are on the field and in the pool competing. So buddy, if you're one of those, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm just really fortunate and grateful for my position, and hopeful and excited for the future. We've got a lot of great athletes on Team USA currently, and I'm excited. It's going to be really cool to see the progression of USA swimming from now until LA in 3 years. And I'm just really excited to be part of all of it. So, thank you, Mel, for having me on. I really appreciate it.